You know me, I play a ton of games, but I've been playing Splatoon ever since it was first released on the Wii U. I've made hundreds of episodes of Splatoon 1 and 2, and now I'm well into Splatoon 3, and I have some thoughts about these maps. If this type of video is up your alley, be sure to subscribe, maybe I'll do more. And of course, you can see some regular Splatoon 3 content as well. Now, I'm not a professional player. Well, I mean, maybe I am in the sense that I make money playing Splatoon. Got really quick clout, hold on. Whoa, nice, donated Czar14. But I'm not a competitive player. I don't go to tournaments. So these thoughts of mine on these stages are all just purely my personal preference and how I like to play. I like to use weapons that are short to medium range. I don't play a lot of long range weapons. I do play all the modes though, and I have a very mid-tier map knowledge. And obviously it's going to depend on the mode that you're playing on, but I don't know how much I'm taking that into account really. We'll take a look at it like this. I'm excited about playing on this map. This is a good map. We're gonna win. A, I like playing on this map. I hope we win. B, this map's alright. Let's see how it goes. C is like, this map could be better. We may not win this one. And then D is like, I don't want to play this map. I'm gonna wait for another rotation. We'll probably lose. If I'm desperate, I'll play on it. I don't know that any Splatoon 3 maps will fall into the D category for me. I know my friend Yashi, she hates Museum d'Alfonsino. She puts it in a D. I think that's the only one she puts in a D. But for me, I don't know if any of them will make it. So let's have some fun. Let's start off with Eel Tail Alley. I'm just going with the order that they're listed here, and let's figure out where this belongs. All right, Eel Tail Alley is one of the new stages for Splatoon 3, and I like it. So we're looking at Splat Zones because Splat Zones is my favorite of the competitive modes. I've actually had a lot of Splat Zones gameplay on this level, and I like how it's laid out. They have basically an area up here where you can overlook this whole area, and then you're kind of fighting with the person across here, and then you're trying to ink the splat zone. Now typically when I play, I don't get up here because a sniper usually likes to get up here. But if I have a weapon that, you know, I can maybe target someone with, like a sloshing machine, I can sloshing machine from this platform to that one. I can get coverage from down here, like if I'm using the dually squelchers, I can put down the, you know, the wave breaker right here or something like that. And, just in general, being floor level for me is usually where I'm at. Usually the weapons I like to do on splat zones are high ink output, short to medium range, so I'm able to get coverage from the ground level. If it gets too hectic though, I can always retreat and then go up here and then get coverage that way as well. Typically, you know, there's no way for the enemy to get up here directly, so there's a great jumping opportunity. If one of your teammates is here, you can safely jump to him because you know that the enemy's not going to be able to come up here and get him. Now they can throw bombs. It's not totally safe. Nothing's safe. There's no guarantees in life. But you know what I'm saying. It seems like a pretty decent area to jump to. Of course, the enemies can always come up from over here, or they can come up from behind you, you know. But you don't have to worry about an enemy coming up here and just jumping to get you. You know, they can throw stuff, whatever. Basically, why I like this stage on Splat Zones is there's just a lot of angles to get. There's a lot of coverage to take. Tower control for this stage is fine. I haven't played it a ton. I don't really have any huge pros and cons here. The path that this tower takes, you know, you're susceptible to anyone on these platforms up here, especially that one over there. But the advantage is, once you get to this point, I find it difficult to take out players, which also means that it's difficult for players to take you out as you're moving towards the goal here. Now, they can be up on this platform, but it takes some time. When you kill them, it takes some time for them to get over here. And if you kill them and the tower's already there, it's typically enough time to make it to the goal at this point. So this is a, you know, pretty good ride. But that applies to, of course, almost every situation, right? Every map has a situation right like that, where if you're close to the goal and you kill them, you're probably going to make it to the goal. But what I mean is, you don't really have to worry about this height thing. Rainmaker is interesting in the fact that these two bridge points are connected together, so you can actually grab the Rainmaker and then take it right over here. In my limited experience, that's a pretty effective, straightforward route. In fact, you know, Rainmaker in this game seems a lot more straightforward and simple because you make it to a checkpoint and then you make it to the next checkpoint, etc. And so, you know, you could do either checkpoint. This would be like a ground approach, I guess. And then if you did this, then the next checkpoint is right over there. But the next checkpoint is right over there no matter which one you secure. So I know what you're thinking, like, wow, Zach, this is like thrilling commentary. Well, believe me, I know that I don't know as much as some of the tournament professionals know about competitive, but I just know what I like and what I don't like, and I'm just saying, I kind of like that. But I don't really play a ton of Clan Blitz. Since you can play any mode now in Splatoon 3 and level up and rank up, I probably will play even less of it than I played in Splatoon 2. I know that's funny because a lot of competitive players love Clan Blitz because you can really be an individual and shine here. But you know, there's nothing offensive about the stage for Clam Blitz, in my opinion. Turf War here is pretty fun because the bridge doesn't really have any obstacle. Like, there's no, like, dip in the bridge. So you can just kind of walk across and get a ton of coverage up here. I really like that. That's, you know, I use high ink weapons, so this is something I really like, is access to a large portion of the map. And the same thing for this little bridge over here. You can really get into the enemy territory from this little overpass. And this is something cool as well. You can kind of jump over at enemies if they're over here, because there's no way for them to get over on this side, but you can get over on this side. So overall, Eel Tail Alley, not much offensive about it. In fact, I really enjoy playing on it. I'm going to give this an A. Great for Turf War, in my opinion, for high ink weapons. And also same thing for Splat Zones. I really enjoy playing it on Splat Zones and Turf War. The other modes, I don't know. Overall, great new stage. Up next, another brand new stage, Hacklefish Market. One thing I like about Hacklefish is that it's very colorful, especially in the daytime, and I love the colorful aesthetic, especially since some of the Splatoon 3 aesthetic has been kind of like almost like an apocalypse aesthetic. So this bright, vibrant aesthetic is very pleasing on the eyes. Splat Zones is alright. It's kind of a small area, which has its pros and cons. Some of the stages that I really like because they're so large. But there's also a lot of side paths here that are great for ambushing, which I'm not typically that great at ambushing, so I find this as a disadvantage for me. And this is kind of where personal preference comes into play, because a professional player might be really good at ambushing, and they might really love going left or right here and taking out the enemy team. But for me, I like to kind of stay in a small area and try to secure the Splat Zone, and that's hard to do because you're right here. They can come from either the left or the right or straight ahead. So even though it's a small area, it's very risky to play up here. In my opinion, tower control is more fun on here than Splat Zones. All the paths feel pretty open. You know, you have a nice open area around you the whole time. You know, the enemies can come up here, but you're at eye level with them, so it's not a big deal. And then also the final two sites are super close together, so it's really interesting when things get heated at the end. I don't have much to say about Rainmaker here, but it's worth noting that you can go like a straightforward path to the first checkpoint, or you can go around here for the second checkpoint, and whichever one you choose is going to set you up for the finale, and then which is up over there. And so I don't know enough about this mode on this map to say like which one's better. All I'm doing here is saying which maps I like better. I think Clam Blitz on this stage is really great to defend on, because they can only come up here to your goal two paths. I looked at something. There's the goal. They can come up this way, and then they can come up around here. And you actually have like the high ground as defenders, and so you can really see them coming and you can prepare appropriately. Of course, if they flank you on both ends, that might be a little tough, maybe, I don't know. When I play Clam Blitz, I like to think about defense a lot because I'm more of a defensive Clam Blitz player. Offensively, you know, you got to make the same decisions that I was just talking about. Which way do you go, left or right? I don't know. Which way's best? All I'm saying is that that's one thing I like about the stage, is that when I'm on defense, then I feel a lot more comfortable. And Turf War is fine. There's lots of ground to cover, lots of inking opportunities, and I really like how you can get on top of these little roofs and you know, shoot to your heart's content. So to me, Hacklefish Market, nothing really stands out. It's just amazing. When I see it, I'm like, all right, I give that a B. If I enjoyed playing Splat Zones on it a little bit more, maybe it would be an A to me. Up next is Hammerhead Bridge, a reworked Splatoon 1 classic. Let's check it out. I do like Splat Zones on this stage because I can get coverage on these areas right here without having to worry about someone coming up behind me or flanking me. They can come through like this area, or, you know, come up through here. But here, you know, here I feel pretty protected overall. And so I can get a lot of decent coverage from that with like a medium range weapon and lobbing projectiles in. But as an option, you can also be on the sidelines here to get coverage. And obviously, this being the path they're going to come down to get you, I don't feel that intimidated by it because just my playing style allows me to see them and handle them when they approach. When I'm on the offense and I want to flank the enemy team, I feel pretty comfortable coming in like this and splatting people, or at least putting the pressure on, especially if I have like a wave breaker, just drop it right there. As you can probably tell, I'm going to be talking a lot more about Splat Zones than the other modes because I play Splat Zones most often. Tower control feels pretty good too. I like going on this path. I feel like that usually if I'm on the tower, my team can come up here and handle the enemies pretty well most of the time. For whatever reason, tower control just feels comfortable on this stage for me. One thing I like about Rainmaker on this stage is there's only one checkpoint to choose from. Boom, so pretty straightforward. Just go in and get it. Ow. And I think this stage is okay for turf. It's kind of long and narrow. I don't really have anything super interesting to point out other than that I think these side areas become a lot more fun in turf because you're going to be over here a lot more often. So with that said, I'm going to give Hammerhead Bridge, the reworked Hammerhead Bridge, an A. Up next is one of my favorite stages of all time, a Splatoon 2 classic, Inkblot Art Academy. Generally speaking, one thing I like about Inkblot is that it has a lot of paths out of your base. You can go down this little path here, go down here, and come up to the side over here. You can go a more straightforward way by just going down here, or you can kind of come out over here, or, whoa, nice roll, over here. Lots of paths to go and get out of your home base, and that applies generally throughout this map. Now, I don't think this is my favorite Splat Zone stage, but there are a lot of areas you can ink without stepping down into the main arena, and you can actually approach a lot of the Splat Zone from the side or from up here. And then there's a tall platform in the very middle of the Splat Zone, which is pretty cool, especially if you're trying to oversee their area. Of course, this makes you very vulnerable, so I don't get up here that often. I think tower control is fun on this stage. You have platforms at each side of the tower's center point. As the tower is approaching this area, you can actually shoot over the wall or get up here and shoot it as well. And furthermore, when the tower is coming through this area, you have a lot of high spots as well to gain the advantage on them. And I suppose what that means is that I'm thinking of this map as a more defensive map, but also I love it when our team has a strong offense on this map. Because once you're here, your team can scatter and take out the enemies as you're riding it through. On some maps, I feel like I'm good on both offense and defense, whereas others I feel like I'm just defensive or just offensive, or sometimes I feel like I'm not good at all. But on this particular map, I feel like I'm good in both positions. And on Rainmaker, I feel the same way. I feel like I'm good at offense. It only has one checkpoint, so all you gotta do is take it from here over to here, right? That seems easy, and it is, I feel, when I'm on offense. And when I'm on defense, they also have to bring it over to here. I feel like that I can defend against it because I know where the cutoff point is. The cutoff point is right here, and I could be either on top of there or on top of here or right here in the middle. And in Turf War, this is really where all the alternate paths come into play. You need to ink all of these areas over here, and it's fun. This map has a lot of variety. And you can even shoot up here, and it's fun to mess around with them like that. Be a little pest. And with all that said, Inkblot Art Academy, one of my favorite stages, is an S for sure. I love it in Splat Zones, Rainmaker, Tower Control. I probably didn't have much to say about Clan Blitz, but hey, Turf War, getting to use the full map is super fun. Love this stage. Up next is Mahi Resort, returning from Splatoon 1. Let's check it out. Let's start with the good. This stage is absolutely gorgeous in Splatoon 3. They got a band over there. They got lots of beautiful colors. They got water all around. This is great looking. But that water is also pretty dangerous. I find it difficult to navigate around. I tend to fall into the water a lot on this stage, and that's just a me thing. The Splat Zone itself is pretty fun, pretty small, easy to approach from a few different angles here, including a high angle. So you can actually get lots of coverage. If you are down here, really grinding that Splat Zone, if that's a saying that people would say, I think you're going to do a good job. Something with high ink output, short range, you can just get in here, get it quick. It's small, easy to handle. Oh, here we go. Water level dropping. This is one thing that happens in this stage, which is actually a really cool mechanic. The water level drops and thus reveals a bunch of extra stuff that you have to ink, which is pretty awesome in Turf War. I'll admit, that's pretty awesome in Turf War. I've only played Tower here a few times, and it seems pretty cool, but one issue is that there's water around the tower, easy to fall in. Of course. Look at that. In the second phase of the stage, you don't have to worry so much because there's no more water around the tower, and it's on a slightly higher platform. Interesting. I do like how this stage changes. Oh my god. See what I mean? I'm trying to showcase. I fell in just trying to showcase this. Rainmaker has 2 checkpoints, which I inherently don't like compared to 1. I can just imagine professional players being like, ugh, after hearing something like that. I don't know. That's just me. I like 1 checkpoint. On offense, I kind of like it. Oh, I missed. Don't put that in. On Clan Blitz offense, I kind of like how you can shoot it from here, or you can try to kind of sneak around and jump over the water to approach the area. Pretty cool. I know that the water is very contentious for me, but that's a pretty cool feature. And really, I think this stage shines most on Turf War because of the water mechanic. Plus, it has some interesting platforms that you can jump up on. And then a minute and a half in, look at that, a bunch more turf unveils itself. And there's less water, and you get to ink it. That's fun. So that's a pretty cool stage, but I'll be real, this is just my personal ranking. I'm gonna have to deduct a point because I fall into the water all the time. That's my fault, I know, but that means I'm less inclined to want to play on it. So Mahi Resort gets a B. Up next is a Splatoon 2 classic, Mako Mart, another great stage. I don't know what it is about Mako Mart, but I actually really enjoy it here. This is Splat Zones. Splat Zones, you have an area that you can get in, you can cover. I like these little areas on the side. because you got to make sure you get them. Sometimes people forget about them, and so I can get them and then get coverage. You can be up here and get coverage and have a great view of everything. I don't know what it is. Like I said, I feel like I can actually be offensive on this stage. Maybe it's just because I know it better than some of the other ones. I don't know. I'll admit, I think Rainmaker feels a little weird on Mako Mart. You spawn in the corner, which is a little odd in my opinion. I think it was that way in Splatoon 2. If you go over here, there are 2 options for the first checkpoint, which I also don't like. I think Clam Blitz on here is pretty fun. It can be frustrating when the enemy team is really good, but if you're good on it at offense, it's really fun. I think it's hard to defend this site, honestly. So I try to go all offense on this stage, but basically once you get down here, you can throw it in and then like your teammates can swoop all around, throw in some more clams, but the same thing can happen to you, so you gotta watch out for it. But when it happens, you know, if you're down here, this area gets crowded, so you can throw explosives or like any specials over here and often take out a lot of the enemy team, allowing you to throw even more into there. I didn't break it, but you know what I mean. And then turf is fun too. Did I mention I love the vibe of this place? It looks even better in Splatoon 3, does it not? You have great access to the middle area by these platforms, and they're not super tall platforms. Overall, I have a great time playing turf. So with all that said, even though I don't quite like Rainmaker on this stage, I'm still gonna give it an S because I love the other modes on it. I really do. Boom, there it is.
Nice.
Up next, another new stage for this series, Mince Meat Metalworks. Now, coming off Mako Mart's colorful aesthetic, one thing I did not like about this stage is just the really drab aesthetic. I mean, this is not a pleasing place to play at all. But this is Splat Zones, and I really like the map layout for Splat Zones because there's a rectangle here. You can actually shoot basically through the floor that's above it, or you can walk across it. And overall, this is just a very tight, fun playing area. Getting to here from spawn doesn't take very long at all. I just really enjoy this on Splat Zones. I don't know what to say about tower control, but Rainmaker also has 2 options for the first checkpoint. And honestly, I don't think I have anything to say about tower control or Clam Blitz that really sticks out to me. This is turf. Turf is cool in the sense that I really like being able to shoot through this platform or walk across it to get coverage. But other than that, not much about this stage like really sticks out to me. I think it's kind of a mid-tier map in my opinion. So with that said, you know, aesthetically looks ugly, and pretty much the only thing I like on it is Splat Zones, and sometimes some turf is okay. But the other modes I don't have much to say about, and in fact, if I see this stage pop up, I might be like, oh, I don't know, because I don't know how well I'm going to do because I'm not that familiar with it. I don't feel that comfortable with it. It doesn't have a bunch of quirks that I find interesting like I do some of the other stages, so this is going to be the first one I give a C. Sorry. Up next is Splatoon 1 Classic Museum d'Alfonsino. First up, just look at these 2 platforms. This is such a cool feature. You can actually get up here and get around to these little areas over here and stand on them and shoot. I don't know a lot of people who do though, so it might just be an aesthetically pleasing feature. For Splat Zones, the area is quite reachable from this platform up here. You have a good view on the Splat Zone overall, but to really get coverage, I think you need to get down there and get into the action, and that can be really fun on this stage. I've actually played a lot of tower here, and I think it's pretty fun. You know, the tower goes from here over to here to here. Defensively, I feel pretty comfortable with a good team over here defending against the tower because they all seem to bunch up here, and it's kind of this is kind of a choke point in a way because you got to get up here to get up to this platform at all. So it's kind of a one-way choke point, which is, I think, the definition of a choke point. But still, I mean, it seems like that I'm able to handle it pretty well. I can't quite articulate why. It just seems like I know where the guys are going to be over here. Now, when they get to this point, it's a little bit tougher. It's a little bit tougher to defend, in my opinion. You got to go up on these upper platforms to really take them out. I don't know. The way that I play, though, I feel pretty comfortable with it. And look at this at Rainmaker, 1 checkpoint. Turf War, I think, is where the stage really shines. There's a couple different paths to take. At spawn, you can go either left or right to get the coverage, but there's like a large area in the spawn to get covered. And then, of course, the middle area where all the fighting is pretty fun. It's a shame that Yashi doesn't like this stage because I had a really great time playing this in the latest Splatfest. So Museum d'Alfonsino, I think it's a great stage. It's not my favorite, but I like the aesthetic. I like the whirling platforms. I'm going to give this one an A. 4 more to go, a new one, Scorch Gorge. Let's check it out. I think Scorch Gorge is my favorite of the new maps. I like how the spawn area approaches the center. I like the bridges across on both sides. For splat zones, the splat zone is actually really interesting. Typically, I like splat zones where they're small so I can get to them quickly and overtake them easily. But this one is such a large splat zone. You really got to have control of the whole map here. For whatever reason, on this stage, I think that's really fun. On other stages, I don't necessarily like that. But on this stage, I think that's really fun. And aesthetically, this is very pleasing. Look at the kind of the tall reddish color rock formations. Very pleasing compared to some of the other post-apocalyptic aesthetics they've gone with. I can see it in Rainmaker now. 2 options for the first checkpoint. Offensively on Clam Blitz, it feels pretty easy to get up here, honestly, and I don't know why that is. Maybe I just got lucky when I played, but just swim up here, throw it in, am I right? I just find this a very fun stage on turf, and aesthetically, it's just great. It looks beautiful. I like being surrounded by everything that's so tall. I love the height dynamics on this stage. In a previous video I said that Scorch Gorge is my favorite of the new stages. I'm not so sure that it is my favorite, but it's at least alongside Eel Tail Alley as an A. Up next, Sturgeon Shipyard from Splatoon 2. Alright, Sturgeon Shipyard isn't terrible on splat zones, but it is kind of difficult to get the full coverage from any one particular area, other than up here, which is like only there sometimes because this platform will eventually rotate away. One thing I do like about this stage though is that it's pretty easy to go on the offense and then quickly rotate back to where you need to go because of the kind of the U shape that each spawn has. But this bridge here moving up and down, I mean, I don't even think I like that as a feature. Rainmaker though, 2 checkpoints. So Sturgeon Shipyard is kind of an average level for me. I think what I like most about it is that it feels familiar. So I'm giving this one a B. Undertow Spillway is next, a brand new level for Splatoon 3, and I like it. Aesthetically though, bland. I don't like the aesthetics of this, but I mean, I get it. I get what they're going for. It's all brown everywhere, except for when you put the ink down, then it changes colors. But I like that there are 2 splat zones. That's really cool. What I like about this is that you can just maintain control of one of the splat zones and thus deny the other team full coverage. But while being offensive, it's not that hard to regain control because you just go over here and get this covered too. 2 smaller splat zones, really cool. Wavebreaker works great at certain spots. All around a pretty cool splat zone stage. I'm not sure what to say about tower control here, but when you're on the offense, it's a little bit easier to hit these first 2 checkpoints than other stages in my opinion. When you're on defense during the last leg, the tower is going to be like right here, and so I feel like with the type of weapons that I like to use, it's fairly easy to defend here as well. And Rainmaker has 2 checkpoint possibilities. Do I need to say more? But I think this stage also shines in turf. You know, there's a lot of spawn area to cover, and then the center areas that are kind of under contention are these areas here focused around this little barrier that you can easily go over. And so there are a lot of fun battles here. I have a lot of great memories from when we did the latest Splatfest. We played here a lot. You know, if you can break into your enemy's territory and get coverage over here, you can push on the other side. So there's a lot of really cool area to push on without necessarily getting directly into their spawn. So this was a tough one for me. I'm leaning towards A with Undertow Spillway. I can see it maybe being a B. I'll have to play on it a little bit more, play some other stages a little bit more, understand fully where it sits. But for now, I think I'm going to put it at an A. Although I don't like it as much as Scorch Gorge. But I might like it about as much as Eel Tail Alley. A's fine. That leaves one final stage, Wahoo World from Splatoon 2. So this might be one of the few stages where I prefer other modes in Splat Zones. The Splat Zone feels kind of far out. I know it felt that way on Museum d'Alfonsino as well. The Splat Zone is a circle in the middle. I probably don't prefer to play Splat Zones on here. I'd probably honestly rather play any other stage for Splat Zones than this one. But aesthetically, I love this stage. Look at the roller coasters. Look at the rides all around. It's awesome looking. I think tower here is okay. I kind of like how contentious this middle area gets, and then you stop like right here and people can get you from there. It's pretty exciting in the earlier parts of this. But of course, 2 checkpoint possibilities for Rainmaker. Clam Blitz here is really fun in my opinion. You get to really interact with this center area, the rotating platform. When you swim into their area, the goal is just on the other side. Just overall, the freedom that Clam Blitz gives you on this map is really fun. And of course, Turf War is fun too. Lots of freedom, lots of areas to ink. Being able to play around with this bridge is pretty fun sometimes. If there's any complaint I would have, it's that it takes a little bit longer to swim out here than I would like. All right, so Wahoo World, I like the stage. It feels familiar. I have great times in Turf War and Clam Blitz, but with Splat Zones being one of my favorite modes that I don't particularly like on this stage, I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a B. So there is my tier maker list of the Splatoon 3 stages, including the new ones. Sitting up at S are some classics though. Mako Mart and Inkblot Art Academy. Out of the new ones though, Scorch Gorge, Eel Tail Alley, those are my favorites. Of course, what they've done with Hammerhead Bridge was awesome. Undertow Spillway, I'm also giving an A. And Museum d'Alfonsino, welcome back. Hacklefish Market, either way. Mahi Resort, cool mechanic, but I fall in the water all the time. Either way. Sturgeon Shipyard, Wahoo World, And then my least favorite, hate to say, a new stage, Mince Meat Metalworks. I might change my mind though the more that I play, so if this video does well, maybe I'll revisit it, especially as they add more stages. Let me know in the comments below what you think and how you think I did arranging these maps. I'm ZackScott. Subscribe if you have not. If you like this video and want to help this channel grow, all you gotta do is click the like button below. Thank you so much for watching. You can now join and become an official member of ZackScottGames. And if you want cool shirts like this, visit ZackScott.shop.